Welcome to a brand new episode of the Post Game. I am your host Davion, and I'm joined by Lillian
What's up?
and Emmett.
Hey yo,
How we doing?
Fine.
ready to go.
Good. We are continuing our series, Let's Talk, and today we are talking about the Philadelphia 76ers, the meanest, arguably the meanest fan base in the NBA. What's obtainable for the 76ers next year? Championship?
I don't know if I would ever give a ceiling with any team with James Harden on a championship.
Ooh.
I don't know.
I
I don't think he has that DNA. But
I
I would
don't know.
say, I would say they could make it to the finals. I don't think they can win it though.
I'm all in on them. I think they could win.
Oh. So I was going ceiling Eastern Conference Finals.
See, the thing about the Sixers is if they do get to the finals, we all know the finals is ref different. We all know they don't give the little ticky-tacky fouls.
Harden calls.
And we do know that Harden and Embiid sort of thrive off of that. So I think they can get there, but I don't think that they can do much once they do get there.
I mean, granted, I don't think Harden has been getting those calls that he got like at
Not as much, no.
in the Rockets like ever recently.
At the start of the season, he was getting like none of them, but they definitely started like forgetting about that new rule
Yeah.
for every player, not just Harden.
So, Emmett, you said that you're all in on the 76ers. Why?
Well, I think that they're suited. They're the best suited to make a run to the championship than they ever have been in the last like 20 years.
I
Like
agree.
undoubtedly. And I just think that they've got good, everybody wants to be there. Like Harden's happy, Embiid's happy, Maxi's happy there and is flourishing. Like Tobias Harris, I mean, but he can play his role. And I think they got PJ Tucker, Daniel House, some veterans that have had some deep playoff experience and good shooters, George Niang. I mean, I just think they have everything they need to make it to the finals. And, I just think they have their kind of identity with Embiid being that guy. And then I think Harden's okay with being that secondary scorer. And, I just think that they can do it.
So, just going to say a couple things that happened to the 76ers this offseason. James Harden took a pay cut, I think for a 15 mil pay cut in quotes, of course. I think it's 2 years, 30 mil. Was it something like that? No. Or is it 2 years, 60 mil? I think he's getting 30 per year. I think he's getting 32 per year. I think that's what it is. But they re-signed James Harden, and I think he's, like you just said, Emmett, he's okay with taking that backseat role, which is the first time we've seen him do this season in his career, which is, I think, shows something about this team. They've signed a great defender and a great leader in PJ Tucker, which I think will rebrand this offense, which I think will lead them to the NBA final. I mean, not finals, the Eastern Conference Finals at least. And then they signed Paul Millsap. But that big question mark for me, I mean, I like Matisse Thybulle a lot. I think he's a great defender. But that big question mark to me is Tobias Harris. I think they're paying him way too much money for the lack of production that he has not given them. And so if he can come and produce this season, and I think PJ Tucker will push him over that level of like being able to like get something out of him and get him going, I think they'll be a completely different team this next season. So being with the 76ers, do we think Doc Rivers is a good enough coach to lead them to the finals?
No.
Somebody had to ask the question, so I had to.
I don't think Doc. I think Doc Rivers lets has a game plan but lets his players sort of do it. And there's not a lot of intervening. And then once things get out of hand, I don't think he necessarily knows what to do.
Yep.
And I think that in the playoffs, sometimes things get out of hand. And if you can't respond to that, you're not winning.
I swear, I feel like I've trusted him like in most playoff series. Like I'm like, okay, I think Doc will do it, like with the Clippers and the Sixers, but it just never happened. So like I can't believe I'm saying it again that I feel like they should win, but I don't trust him.
I mean, it was like the first round last year, they were playing the Raptors and they were up 3-0. And then the Raptors started winning, and everybody thought, oh, wow, there might actually be a chance that the Raptors do this because Doc Rivers is the coach.
Yep. I mean, we've seen time in and time out his lack of – I'm not going to say lack of coaching because he's arguably one of the greats. But when it comes to those clutch – when it comes to leading series 3-1 or leading series at all, it's like he's not one of those head coaches that keeps his foot on the gas. It's like he takes his foot off the gas and puts it in reverse. And it's like to win a championship, which he has done, I think once or twice, right? Twice?
2011.
He won it with the
Boston.
He won it with Boston. I think he won it with somebody else. Anywho, but he tends to take his foot off the gas and like loses control of the team. And that's just not how the NBA is played. And that's just not how like this is gonna work. And so if he doesn't find like his ability to coach and coach all the way through the games, then they will completely continue to lose in the second, third round.
I mean, that's the reason why coaches get fired. Like Quinn Snyder makes it to the playoffs, great coach, but can't get over the hump.
Yep.
Mike Budenholzer for the Bucks was probably going to get fired if the Bucks didn't make it at least to the Eastern Conference Finals in 2021. They won the title, so he's safe.
Saved his life.
So, like, if you underachieve, like, you're on the hot seat to get fired. And I wasn't sure if the Sixers were going to get or if he was going to get fired after this season.
Honestly, if he doesn't reach the finals, or I would say if he doesn't reach the finals this year, he's gone. I think the talent that they have right now is too much for them not to be able to reach the finals. Because right now it's his third, fourth year?
Something like that.
Excuse me. Third or fourth year as their head coach, and like they've done nothing but progress each time, but progressions are just one game instead of entire series. And like in the NBA, if you don't get the series like going, then you will be fired. Simple.
Yeah, I think even Doc Rivers knew that there was a chance that this offseason he was gone. And I don't think Daryl Morey is patient enough to give him more than just this season to prove it.
Oh yeah, this is definitely his last one. And if he thinks differently, then he's definitely tripping. Because I think the fans are calling for him to be gone. I think some of the players are. I mean, we saw last year Maxey was just not happy with the way that team was being coached in that final series that they played, and so now they're gonna definitely have to do something, or he's gonna be gone. And granted, if they start the season off bad, I still think he can be fired at the beginning of the season.
Yeah,
because there's definitely somebody that they have, their eyes out for.
Mm-hmm.
But so, Emmett, you said that they can go to the finals, even with such a deep East that it is right now. Like, are they better than the Bucks? Are they better than the Celtics? Or Miami?
I'm really not sure. I mean, I thought like seeing the Sixers play at least early on in the series against the Hawks in 2021, I was like, dang, like they've got all the tools they need. They could easily beat the Bucks and go to the finals. And then coaches melt down, players melt down. Ben Simmons happens and you lose. And then, you know, they're really balanced. Like they've got great offensive firepower, especially with James Harden. They've got great defense, and at least in the front court, the back court could use some help. But I mean, like you said, the Heat. I mean, they struggled against the Heat. They probably I think they went over 100 points like twice in that series,
Yeah.
maybe. And like, I mean, the Heat matched up amazingly against them. Like, it could not have been a better matchup. And so something like that kind of worries me about them. But, I think with the right matchups and, where they are, I could easily see them as a number one seed in the East. Like regular season, they win the East. But playoffs, it's just so hard to tell. But, they could easily leave. They could easily lose to Boston or to Miami again or Milwaukee. But I have them moving on to the finals, and that could change before the season, but
Of course.
we'll see.
I mean, because I think like the Celtics have gotten better this offseason. And I think they will probably win the East next season. And so, I mean, Philly's sitting at 4. I mean, they picked up PJ Tucker, which adds a lot to their team and defensively wise and like captaincy wise. And so hopefully, I mean, granted he's like 36, 37. He's getting up in age, but like it's definitely just a matter of wherever like Doc Rivers, in my opinion, is the biggest question mark. And so if he fails to be, that guy that they need him to be, then they will lose. So, like getting and talking about Philly, what are they still missing? Well, actually, cut that question. Joel Embiid, who arguably should have won the MVP last season, I think Jokic won it, rightfully so. Don't get me wrong, Embiid played amazingly. But do we see Embiid putting up another like MVP season like he has his past 2 seasons?
Yeah, I don't see a reason why he can't.
Yes.
I don't think there's a change to that team that would affect his offensive output.
Yeah. And I think, and so Maxey has also he's been developing really well over the past 2 seasons. Do we see him jump up pretty high to this season as a starting point guard?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because right now, you start Maxey, Harden at the 2. I don't know who the 3 is.
Probably.
Yeah.
Thibault?
I think they would start Tobias Harris and PJ Tucker.
Tobias.
Yeah, Tobias Harris.
Tobias. So Tobias at the 3, and then you put Paul Millsap at the 4, I guess, and then Joel at the 5. I don't know. I mean, to me, like that's not like that's a strong starting 5, but like out of the whole East, it's not the strongest I can hear.
Wait, Paul Millsap still plays for the Sixers?
Yeah, he's there right now.
Did he sign there?
I think he's signed there. Yeah, I don't think he'll start.
He probably won't. Like, I think Tobias will be at the 3 and PJ will be at the 4. Or they might have PJ come off the bench.
That's
and
what I'm
have
thinking.
Thibault starting.
I mean, Thibault arguably, yeah. They have a lot to see what's going to happen. They definitely, I don't know what they're going to do when it comes to starting 11. Starting 11. Starting 5.
So, I think they could start PJ Tucker and Tobias Harris at the 3 and 4, and then Embiid at the 5. Because even if they did have Millsap, I don't think he's starting material anymore.
Yeah, no.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and like similar to, Harden can easily play the one too. Like he's a great facilitator.
Mm-hmm.
And Maxey like is more of like a scorer.
Yeah.
So that could flip flop if they wanted to, and I could see that working out well. Someone I like completely forgot to mention like about the Sixers is them picking up D'Anthony Melton from the Grizzlies to
Yeah.
come off their bench. I think he's a huge pickup and like such an underrated guard for any team to want. Like he's a great defender, and he improved massively shooting the ball from Memphis last year. So like I think they have that firepower off the bench too. I mean, I think the really big flaw is just kind of their offense off the bench is kind of questionable.
Yeah.
So they just have a Thibault, Melton, Daniel House is more of a defender, really. And then like Niang needs like someone to facilitate for him to get a good shot.
Yeah.
So like if you get someone, people get in foul trouble, that's where I could see him screw up. But
I mean, even Bible, I don't know if he's offense off the bench. That he's like a pure defender.
yeah,
Yeah, that I would say if anything worries me about the Sixers, it's the bench. You've
Yeah, they
got
don't
a
have any
great
depth.
team, but not much depth. And depth is necessary to win the finals.
I completely agree. But I mean, so getting ready to close out on the Sixers because it's the Sixers we're talking about. Anything else y'all have for the Sixers? I think the player to watch this year, I think especially is James Harden. I think we saw a decline on his points per game this year, so that'll be interesting to see. But I mean, his assists went up. Last year he averaged 22, 7.7, and 10. So it's like maybe he's gonna be a more conservative, productive off the ball type player. So that'll be a lot to really look out for next year.
yeah, I think like there are some players entering that kind of stage of their career where they're still hoopers, but like you said, he could easily take more of a facilitating role over there. Like for instance, CJ McCollum in New Orleans, like one of like a go-to scorer in Portland his whole career, and now he's getting a little bit old. Can't move as fast, defend. But he's probably going to take over the starting point guard spot over there and be like a facilitator, which I'm super excited to see. I think that was a great trade for them. And so I think Harden can make that same impact, maybe being more of a facilitator and work through him.
I completely agree. I really think he's gonna I think he's gonna adapt to this new role a lot better. And I think if he can continue this if he can continue to be an NBA player instead of doing all the off the court stuff that he does, I think he'll be good. But he just has to show that he's still committed to the NBA.
Yeah, I think the number one issue with Harden is we saw since last year we saw he averaged 7 and 10 in rebounds and assists. It was pretty much the same the season before. But what we did see coming from that season before to this season was a huge drop in efficiency. Yeah. Looking at it, he had his lowest field goal percentage since his rookie year. He had his lowest three-point percentage ever. His effective field goal percentage was lowest since his rookie year. So if he does continue to try to score the ball, in order to effectively do that, he really needs to bring up the efficiency. Because being a facilitator is useful, but you do need him to score.
I completely agree. Well, I mean, that's all I have for the Sixers. Are y'all good?
Yeah.
That's all y'all have as well. So I mean, if you made it this far, thanks for listening to another podcast or another one of the. What am I saying? If you've made it this far, thanks for listening. Appreciate it. We're going to be back talking about the Toronto Raptors after this, so be on the lookout for that. But yeah, thank you all for joining today. I have been your host, Davion. That's Emmett, Lillian. This has been the postgame. Peace.